Let me thank Senator Shaheen for her leadership on this issue. We've had many discussions about how to advance human rights issues and what is the best strategy to get the Magnitsky bill enacted into law. Your leadership on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on Europe, your leadership in the Helsinki Commission. You've been one of the real champions on this issue. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for your good advice and for allowing us to be able to get to this day. I'm convinced tomorrow the Senate will pass this legislation. The President's going to sign it, and we will have achieved a great victory for human rights. So I thank you. I think also your observations as we were talking about how to move forward with this bill in connection with PNTR for Russia. I know Senator Lieberman talked about it a little bit earlier. I am convinced, as important as this bill was, that the Magnitsky bill by itself would have been extremely difficult for us to get through and to the President and the President to sign and for it to become law, and that combining it with PNTR, we got it done. I also believe that PNTR for Russia without Magnitsky would not have gotten done. So I think the marriage of these two bills was the right thing. It allowed us to move forward, as Senator Levin said, in repealing a provision that really is not relevant today to Russia, but also allowed us to establish a new standard for human rights that's relevant to the problems we're confronting today, not just in Russia, but throughout. It's a global problem. I want to comment a little bit about Senator Levin's point. And Senator Levin raised the issue, why couldn't we make this global? Well, as Senator McCain said, countries are on notice, particularly those countries that are known for their human rights violations are on notice. They now know what the standard is, and they know what action the United States will take if they don't meet that standard. I mean, the standard is very clear, Mr. President. I'm going to just read it into the record one more time so that every country knows and every individual knows what we will be taking action against those who violate human rights. Any individual who's responsible for the extrajudicial killings, torture, or other gross violations of internationally recognized human rights committed against individuals seeking to obtain, exercise, defend, or promote internationally recognized human rights. That's the standard. That's what's in this bill. That's what we'll be voting on tomorrow. That's what's been approved by the House of Representatives, and I believe will be approved tomorrow by this body and will be signed into law by the President of the United States. We are establishing the standard that will be used to deny human rights violators the right to visit our country, to obtain a visa, and to use our banking system. Now, Senator Levin is correct. Senator Levin's absolutely correct. The bill that came out of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and the Finance Committee made it crystal clear by statute that it applied globally. I strongly supported that. I support that now. I would love to see that in our bill. But we need to get this bill done. And I would have preferred to see us take up the amendment, hopefully pass the amendment, and work it out with the Senate, with the House. But it was the collective wisdom that in order to get this bill done, particularly with the administration's position on it, they did not support the global legislative solution at this point, that it was unlikely we would reach the finish line and get that done. That doesn't diminish the global impact of this bill. And I need to underscore that. It does not diminish the global impact of this bill. Senator McCain is right. Countries and individuals are on notice. I can tell you that as a member of this body, I will be monitoring, and if there are individual people who have committed these gross violations and are seeking to come to America or use our banking system, I'm going to take action. Whether it's following additional legislation, I hope we get it done. I hope we'll find an opportunity to get the Senate language into law, that the legislative standard specifically applies globally. But let me point out, we already have authority. The Secretary of State already has authority to deny human rights violators the right to come to America. Before I filed the Magnitsky bill, I had sent a letter to the Secretary of State saying, we know who the perpetrators of the crimes against Mr. Magnitsky were. Deny them the right. They want to come to America. They're planning to come to America. Don't let them. Now, we went back and forth a little bit as to what they were going to do. It's interesting, Mr. President, I filed this legislation with Senator McCain and many others. Secretary Clinton took action. She said, we will deny them the opportunity of coming to America. We have that authority. The Secretary of Treasury has certain authorities to deny the rights of our banking system. So we have, our agencies have the inherent authority to block human rights violators from coming to America or using our banking system. Should we legislate to make that clear? Absolutely. Absolutely. Should we pass legislation that's global? Absolutely. And I hope we'll do that. Today, we have the opportunity to make a major advancement, to establish the standard in statute that we expect will be honored internationally, globally, to provide the tools to act against Russia, because this is a PNTR Russia bill. We'll be able to do that. We also have the tools in place to be able to take further action. So what I said earlier, I think, is absolutely true. This is an end of a chapter of U.S. leadership. I can tell you when Senator Jackson and Congressman Vanik suggested the use of trade as a leverage to block trade with countries that they didn't respect a basic human right of allowing their people to leave, there were many people who say, why are you doing that? Can't we just talk it out? That bill produced incredible results, not only on the people, the individuals who were able to leave the Soviet Union, but it spoke to America's leadership. I honestly believe that it helped establish the principles where the United States used trade to open up and eliminate the apartheid government of South Africa. We were the leaders on that. We have been very strong on protecting human rights and saying, yes, we'll use every tool at our disposal to protect people's basic rights. We did that in South Africa, we did that in the Soviet Union, and we're doing it again today. That's where America's leadership shines. That's where America's leadership will be followed by other countries. We already are seeing other European capitals pass similar legislation as the Magnitsky bill to make this clear. We're ending a chapter with Jackson Vanik, and we should be very proud of what America stood for, what we stand for today, and what our leadership has meant in the lives of real people and have helped keep people safer. But we're starting a new chapter. And that new chapter is not just Russia. That new chapter is global. We're putting the international community on notice that we will not tolerate individuals who violate basic human rights. And we will use every tool at our disposal, including trade, including the right to come to America, including the right to use our banking system, including put as much pressure as we possibly can for countries to take action against those who violate rights. Countries, we respect the rights of individual countries. We want to work with those countries. But America will not give up its values and promoting these values internationally. And that's what this legislation is about. I understand the disappointment that we don't have everything in this bill we would like. I am certainly disappointed. I fought hard, spoke to so many members in both the House and the Senate about trying to make this bill even better. I am proud of how far we were able to get. And I can tell you this, the activists who are risking their lives today in countries around the world to protect the rights of citizens, to question the actions of their government, to dare say, look, we should have competitive elections, that we should respect the religious freedoms of individuals, that we should be able to speak out. These people are putting their lives at risk. They're looking at what the Senate is doing today, and they're looking at us and saying, pass this bill. Pass this bill because it gives us hope. It lets our countries know that America will stand up for us, that America's leadership will be there to keep us and to keep us safe. So, Mr. President, I know we've had a spirited discussion this evening. We'll have a chance tomorrow to vote on this bill. I really do believe that we'll have that opportunity to show that America's leadership will be continuing to advance human rights. This legislation will make a difference not just in the trade relationships between Russia and the United States. It will help that, but it will help advance international respect for human rights. I'm proud to be part of that effort.